Commissioned on November 27, 1939, the USS Sealion SS-195 began her service as part of Submarine Division 17 during a time of increasing global instability. As a Sargo-class submarine, Sealion was among the most advanced vessels in the U.S. Navy's submarine fleet, designed to operate in the expansive waters of the Pacific Ocean. The submarine measured 310 feet in length, with a beam of 27 feet and a draft of 13 feet 10 inches. Her displacement was approximately 1,450 tons when surfaced and 2,350 tons when submerged, making her a medium-sized vessel optimized for extended patrols and engagements in the vast Pacific Ocean. Powered by 4 diesel engines for surface operations and 4 electric motors for submerged propulsion, Sealion could reach speeds of up to 21 knots on the surface and 8.75 knots underwater. Her range extended over 11,000 nautical miles at cruising speeds, enabling her to conduct long-range missions critical to the U.S. Navy's Pacific strategy. The submarine was heavily armed for its time. Her primary offensive weaponry consisted of 10 21-inch torpedo tubes, 6 located in the bow and 4 in the stern. She could carry up to 24 torpedoes, including reloads. For surface combat, Sealion was equipped with a 3-inch 50-caliber deck gun used against enemy ships and to attack smaller, unarmed vessels. She also had 50-caliber and 30-caliber machine guns for defense against enemy aircraft and small surface targets. The Sealion typically carried a complement of approximately 55 officers and enlisted men, though her exact crew size could vary depending on mission requirements. The crew operated in close quarters, relying on teamwork and discipline to ensure the submarine's effectiveness in combat and patrol missions. In the spring of 1940, Sealion sailed with her division across the Pacific to the Philippine Islands, arriving at Cavite Naval Yard in the fall. This marked the start of her operations with the Asiatic Fleet, a critical component of the U.S. Navy's forward-deployed forces in Southeast Asia. The fleet was tasked with deterring Japanese aggression and protecting American interests in the region. For the next year, Sealion patrolled the waters of the Philippine archipelago, ranging from Luzon to the Sulu archipelago. These patrols were vital in monitoring Japanese naval activities, gathering intelligence, and ensuring a U.S. presence in the region. Her operations included practice drills, war readiness exercises, and routine maintenance, all of which prepared her crew for the challenges of war. By late 1941, as tensions with Japan escalated, Sealion and her sister ship Sea Dragon were placed in Submarine Division 202. Recognizing the growing threat in the Pacific, the Navy scheduled both submarines for overhauls at Cavite Naval Yard. These maintenance efforts were intended to ensure their readiness for potential conflict. The overhaul began in October 1941, with completion planned for mid-December. At the time, Sealion was undergoing critical repairs and system upgrades, leaving her temporarily unable to conduct patrols or defensive operations. The yard work included improvements to her propulsion systems, updates to her weaponry, and routine inspections of her pressure hull and machinery. Despite the urgency of the situation, the Navy Yard at Cavite was bustling with activity, supporting the Asiatic Fleet's efforts to prepare for the increasingly likely outbreak of war. The Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941, December 8, east of the international date line, marked the beginning of hostilities in the Pacific. Simultaneously, Japanese forces launched coordinated strikes across Southeast Asia, targeting the Philippines, Malaya, and other key locations. In the Philippines, air raids began almost immediately. Japanese bombers struck American airfields, including Clark Field and Nichols Field, destroying much of the U.S. Army Air Force's aircraft and infrastructure. However, the Cavite Naval Yard, a critical hub for the Asiatic Fleet, was spared during these initial attacks. This temporary reprieve allowed work on Sealion and Sea Dragon to continue, but the threat of an attack loomed large. On December 8th and 9th, Japanese air raids continued to target military installations across Luzon, focusing on disabling American air and naval power. The submarines at Cavite remained in dry dock or alongside repair wharves, vulnerable to attack but unable to relocate due to their ongoing maintenance. The situation changed dramatically on December 10th. At approximately 12:30 p.m., air raid alarms sounded as 54 Japanese bombers, divided into two formations of 27 planes each, approached the Cavite Naval Yard. Their mission was to destroy the repair and logistical facilities that supported the Asiatic Fleet and eliminate the submarines moored at Makassar Wharf. At the time, Sealion was moored outboard of Sea Dragon and alongside the minesweeper Bittern. The submarines were virtually defenseless, their machine gun mounts and other defensive systems removed or inoperable due to the overhaul. Lieutenant Commander Richard G. Voge, Sealion's commanding officer, ordered all personnel below deck except for himself, Executive Officer Lieutenant Albert Reborn, and 3 crew members who remained topside to monitor the situation. The first cluster of bombs landed 100 to 200 yards astern of Sealion. Recognizing the high-altitude bombers were beyond the range of defensive fire, Voge directed everyone to seek shelter below. This decision, made under immense pressure, likely saved many lives as the attack intensified. 2 bombs struck Sealion directly, sealing her fate. The first bomb hit the aft end of the conning tower fairwater where the machine gun mount had been positioned. The explosion destroyed critical systems, including the main induction system, battery ventilation, and aft conning tower bulkhead. The blast caused significant external damage and minor injuries to 3 crew members in the control room. Fragments from the explosion struck Sea Dragon, killing Ensign Sam Hunter, the first American submarine casualty of the war. The second bomb penetrated Sealion's main ballast tank and pressure hull, detonating in the maneuvering space at the aft end of the engine room. The explosion killed 4 crew members, electrician's mates Sterling Cecil Foster, Melvin Donald O'Connell, and Valentine Lester Paul, along with machinist's mate Ernest Ephraim Ogilvy. The damage caused immediate flooding in the aft engine room, forcing Sealion to settle stern first into the mud. Flooding spread to the forward engine room and aft torpedo room through bomb-damaged bulkheads. Despite the chaos, the crew acted swiftly to evacuate, with many escaping through hatches that remained above water. By the time the attack subsided, Sealion was heavily damaged, with 40% of her main deck submerged and a 15-degree starboard list. The damage to Sealion was catastrophic. Her maneuvering space, the heart of her propulsion system, was destroyed, rendering her immobile. Even if she had been operable, the simultaneous destruction of the Cavite Naval Yard left no facilities capable of repairing her. Towing the submarine to Pearl Harbor over 5,000 miles away was impossible under wartime conditions. With no options remaining, the Navy decided to scuttle Sealion to prevent her capture by the Japanese. Salvage teams removed valuable equipment, including her gyro compass, radio, and sound systems. On Christmas Day, December 25, 1941, explosives were detonated aboard Sealion, sending her further into the mud and ensuring she could not be salvaged or studied by the enemy. Following the fall of the Philippines, at least 4 Sealion crew members were captured, with 2 losing their lives as prisoners of war. Chief Machinist's mate Howard Risdale Firth died of dysentery on August 9, 1942, and Seaman First Class Harold Gerald Gearhart died in a POW camp on November 11, 1944. Fireman Second Class Herbert Raymond Conser and Ship's Cook First Class George Edgar Cobb endured captivity and were eventually repatriated after the war. After occupying the Philippines, the Japanese raised the Sealion to assess whether it could be salvaged and to study American submarine technology. However, the Sealion was deliberately left beyond salvage, as the Americans had intended. They did manage to capture this photo of the damage to the conning tower fairwater, which was later discovered among captured documents after the war. A large piece of metal is visible peeled back and folded to the left at the base of the two smokestacks on the port side of the fairwater. Another significant section of steel is folded upward on the port side of the periscope shears. Less noticeable is a section folded downward by the force of the explosion, appearing as a white object near the photo's center bottom. The rest of the structure was obliterated by the blast. The explosion destroyed the Sealion's main induction and exhaust valves located at the bomb's impact point. The oval door providing deck access from the conning tower is visible in the photo's lower center. In November 1945, the Sealion was raised again and relocated to clear the way for the reconstruction of the Cavite facility. The plating around the conning tower had been stripped away, likely by the Japanese for use in their own projects and repairs. A Filipino man is visible fishing from the top of the conning tower. This view is taken from the forward port side of the conning tower, looking aft. In 1959, the U.S. Navy raised the Sealion one final time and recovered the remains of the 4 men who had been killed. The families of 2 of the men were located and their remains were sent to them for burial. The other 2 were laid to rest at sea with full honors during a ceremony aboard the USS Princeton on November 20, 1961. Although her service was brief, Sealion left a lasting legacy. Her executive officer, Eli Thomas Reich, went on to command the second Sealion SS-315 commissioned in 1944. In a poignant tribute, Reich named 4 of the torpedoes fired by Sealion II to sink the Japanese battleship Congo after the men who perished aboard the original Sealion, Foster, O'Connell, Paul, and Ogilvy. Sealion inspired elements of popular culture, including the 1959 Cary Grant film Operation Petticoat. The fictional submarine Sea Tiger underwent a similar bombing at Cavite but was refloated for further adventures. The USS Sealion was more than just a vessel. She was a testament to the bravery and resilience of her crew. Her loss highlighted the challenges faced by the United States Navy during the early days of the Second World War as it adapted to a rapidly escalating conflict. Though her service was cut short, Sealion's story endures as a powerful reminder of the sacrifices made by submariners and the enduring spirit of those who fought to defend freedom in the face of overwhelming odds.